You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm your host, William Cooper, for Swiss America Trading. In 1976, folks, we had an economy struggling out of recession. We had low interest rates, cheap gold, and depressed hard assets. We elected a president that was a Southern liberal Democratic governor, a Washington outsider. He had an ultra-liberal running mate, promised to tax big corporations, promised more and better jobs, and to use more government spending to stimulate the economy. Well, all this sounds very similar to the president we just elected, doesn't it? Between 1976 and 1980, the inflation rate soared to double digits. Wise investors sought the protection of gold and silver, which ultimately went up over 500%. Now, if you feel that paper assets will be safe for the next 4 years, then you can ignore this offer. If your assets are protected against high inflation, high interest rates, a possible currency recall, or government collapse, then relax. You've got nothing to worry about. If you feel the government is going to look out for your best interest, then don't call. But if you're like me and many others who've really studied the economy and who really know who the Federal Reserve really represents and what they really are, and what part the IRS plays, then call Swiss America at 1-800-289-2646. That's 1-800-289-2646. One more time, folks. 1-800-289-2646. Do it now and have the experts there show you how to protect yourself. Call 1-800-289-2646. That's 1-800-289-2646. Mention my name, William Cooper, and they'll send you a free newsletter on protecting your future. Call today, folks, 1-800-289-2646. The men and women who created the United States of America left Europe to escape religious persecution and to gain freedom in a new land. We fought many battles for that freedom. The bridge at Concord. Remember the Alamo? Well, in the months and years, American patriots will have a new rallying cry as another group of brave Americans resist the encroaching tyranny of a new world order to maintain their religious freedom and their right to keep and bear arms. The rallying cry, remember WACO. Welcome to the Hour of the Time, Nancy LaRossa. Where are you right now?
Right now, Phoenix, Arizona.
And how did you get mixed up in this WACO Texas thing?
Well, I live in Dallas, Texas, and I was on assignment in Honolulu, Hawaii, helping Eric Leiter do some troubleshooting on a property situation out there when I heard the news report about the siege happening, the ATF attacking that church group in Waco, and I asked him to put together a citizen's arrest on Governor Ann Richards for not stopping that ordeal.
And who is Eric Leiter?
Eric Leiter is the man who lives in Honolulu, but he is the author of the original citizen's arrest, which was served in the Ruby Creek situation this past fall that saved the life of Randy Weaver.
Okay. And how long after this began did you actually get involved?
As I heard about the siege, we got the paperwork up and running. We served notice and filed the papers in Dallas, Texas, which now does bring it before the federal grand jury. And I have a civil number to give you, 3-93-CV0440-X. This was filed in the District Court of Northern Texas regarding this terrible situation in Waco.
Did you do this from Hawaii?
No, sir. We served it right in Dallas, Texas.
And what date did you arrive in Dallas?
Let me look. That was actually on March 4.
March 4th. So you were there early in the beginning of this.
Right at the start.
Okay. And did you get any opposition from anyone while you were there? Did anyone?
None whatsoever. We walked right on in and did what we had to do. Eric Leiter and myself served notice on the Texas Rangers also for not doing their duties or taking care of their responsibilities regarding this Waco situation. They have the authority in the sovereign state of Texas to say, feds, you have no right to do this here. Drop your arms. This is Texas, Republic, and there will be no more bloodshed here. And when we saw that no one was responding, it was a friendly citizen's arrest. We mean no harm. We are not a violent group, but we do honor the Constitution. We, as Constitution Coalition, a lobby group, proceeded accordingly to get the work done.
And what were you told by the Texas Rangers?
They had said to us that they had been deputized by the federal government.
So we're, in effect, federal officers.
Yes, and they were not happy that we did serve them notice. I have copies of what we served on the Texas Rangers. If anyone would like to have a copy of what we have done or what has been filed, they can call or write me.
Great. And how can they reach you, Nancy?
Okay. Answering service number is 214-606-3570. And the mailing address is 25 Highland Park Village, Suite 248, Dallas, Texas, 75205.
Okay, can you repeat that all just one more time, just in case somebody didn't get it down?
You got it. 214-606-3570 is my answering service. And the address is 25 Highland Park Village, Suite 248, Dallas, Texas, 75205. I also have a picture for the people of when we served notice on the BATF, things that the newspaper has not printed. I've got some pictures here of the compound and some interesting material that I think your folks would like to see and hear about.
Well, Nancy, I keep getting this from everyone when I travel across the country in my lectures and when I try to stimulate people to action. I'm told by people that, quote, I'm just a poor one little person out here and I'm up against these terrible odds and there's nothing that I can do, unquote. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, there is absolutely something that the people can do. They can call or write the Governor Ann Richards. I can find that 800 number. They can request that these things would, in fact, be done properly, that mediation opportunities be listened to. I have got a medical team all put together for negotiating the safe release and harbor for the David Koresh people. I've also, we've analyzed the sermons of David Koresh. We have found him to be more from the Seventh-day Adventist. I've had some theologians analyze his sermons. He's not an occult. Seems to be, according to his sermons of Revelations, quite in line, in fact, more of a Pentecostal Seventh-day Adventist group. And I just want to go and say in his defense, according to the Constitution, that the people have their right to their faith. So I'd like people to call or write in to Governor Ann Richards or to the BATF or to the FBI and say, why not do a mediation? Why not try to work this out peaceably? We need to do a peaceable voice and mail blitz and showing, in fact, writing the newspapers and stations saying and pressing in for my motto has been no more bloodshed. That is my personal motto. No more bloodshed. Stop this war.
Well, unfortunately, we know that if people don't wake up, there's going to be lots more bloodshed as the New World Order attempts to exert its authority over all of us and bring about their version of the totalitarian utopia that they've always dreamed of. Nancy, when you first went to Dallas, you went down to, when you got back from Hawaii, you went down to WACO. How did you get inside the lines?
With the press pass, it's a press pass of Eric Leiter.
Need you to talk a lot louder.
I'm sorry. Eric Leiter has a press pass, and I drove my vehicle, and we just went right on in. We stopped at their checkpoint.
Did anybody give you any problems at all?
No problems whatsoever. They checked over his press pass, and we just went right on in. We went and visited all the different media and handed out a press release informing the people of what's really going on.
And the media being there, why haven't they reported any of the true facts? And why are we hearing all of these blatant, slanderous lies that the press is putting out to the American people and to the world? What is their defense?
Very, very much intimidation. The London Skynet was very interested in putting an interview of myself on the air, and it was supposed to be done at 5 o'clock the next morning. And about a little earlier than that, I called in to see if everything was all right. And they told me that they had been very intimidated, that the ATF was moving their lines, shortening it up, and he said it would be too dangerous for me to go in.
Well, what did he mean by too dangerous?
He himself even had his job had been threatened, and we did not, of course, want to jeopardize anybody. There was too much jeopardy, too much a lot of weapons down there. The checkpoint itself, the pictures that I've sent to you and faxed to you, show you that it's one mean machine. When we serve notice on the ATF, they have armored personnel carriers there with cannons on them, for crying out loud. This was no easy thing, and if we were going to be jeopardizing someone's job, or if they had been intimidated, or if he had warned me by saying it was too dangerous, I was not going to take a high risk at getting myself hurt.
Well,
I did not go.
I understand, but these are supposed to be law enforcement people who protect and serve the American people. Why would they hurt someone with firearms who's just there performing their job as a member of the press? Who, in fact, was issuing these threats to the press?
The BATF. The BATF was the one that was responsible for moving the lines and causing the London Skynet journalists to feel intimidated.
And so he was afraid for his job, and others were afraid for their job?
Exactly.
Well, I got news for the press. If any of you are listening, I don't give a damn about any of your jobs when these kinds of things are taking place, especially when we're so eager to send our sons and daughters to die in the sands of some godforsaken country in the Middle East that has nothing to do with the United States of America or the Constitution. And these brave people in WACO, Texas, are under siege by our own federal government. I'm sorry, but I just can't get excited about your stupid jobs. Nancy, what do you gather from the whole attitude of the press there? Did you get the attitude that their jobs were more important to them than the Constitution or the lives of those people inside that compound?
I feel that the BATF is a bunch of rogue folks. They are more like a series of rednecks that are gun happy. They are out to persecute, premeditated, and I think that the BATF has caused the FBI an awful lot of heartache and bad reputation, and I think that the people are in a good position right now to enforce and demand the protection and a peaceable end, and the protection of the people, in fact, that have already been coming out of there. From what we have known during wartime and the rights of even prisoners during proclaimed war, we know that denying food and water and the light routine that they've been doing on these people that interrupt the sleep patterns, the poisoned milk on the babies, these kind of tactics, we don't even treat our enemies that way. And the citizens of America should start to write in or call in to the Governor Ann Richards, to the Texas Rangers, to the FBI and ask them to please stop this and to make sure that the people get treated right. And in fact, even be held accountable for these people's lives. If anyone mysteriously dies at this point in time, I think the citizens ought to put their say in this by calling and writing.
Nancy, you mentioned several things that just set alarms off in my head, and I know that all my listeners are sitting on the edge of their chairs wanting to know what all of this means. You said several things, including poisoned milk. You said refusal of food and water and medical supplies. Now, we know that when this first started, there was a press release right after these agents were killed, and this press release stated that the reason that they went in there was that they heard from some member of this, what they called a cult overseas, that informed the State Department that they were all going to commit mass suicide. Now, if that were true, then it should have been local authorities and not the federal bureaucracy that sent troops in there. But, of course, we know what has transpired. We also know that they lost 4 federal agents and several wounded, and it was the federal government that called for a ceasefire so that they could remove their dead and wounded, and the church members allowed them to do that. They were then labeled as terrorists after they had committed a humanitarian act to allow the federal forces to remove their dead and wounded, and then they asked for food and water and medical supplies and were refused. Now, in my eyes, that makes the federal forces the terrorists and not the churchgoers inside who were actually raided during a church service. Is that correct?
That is correct. It started on a Sunday morning, and it was pre-planned. From what the reports have is that the BATF they have filming devices on them, and by satellite that the siege has been filmed, which proves that the entry was made and started by the BATF. And from the reports that we have, and it's been documented, there have been some hackers that have intercepted this transmission of this, and where a little 6-year-old girl ran out of the nursery and had been machine gunned in half, thus alerting and startling the nursery as these mercenary murderers came upon and attacked this nursery on a Sunday morning. The 2 older women in their 70s grabbed the guns, defending themselves and the children. And yes, some agents had been killed, but in self-defense, according to what the videotapes have proven.
So this is on videotape?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Also, all of our information from all of the sources available are clear on one thing, that the people who belong to the church known as Branch Davidian did not fire any shots first, that it was the federal forces who fired the first shots, and that David Koresh had even come outside to see what was going on, and was unarmed and raised his hands and said, "Don't shoot, don't shoot," and they shot him, and he ran back inside. Is this correct?
That is correct. That is a correct report. And David Koresh was wounded, and that's another, they had a nurse within their complex, their church area, but they were denied medical help, which means that all of this time, I'd like the ladies and gentlemen of your listening audience to know that these people have been denied medical assistance, which means if anyone knows about wounds that go unattended, I don't want to go into a lot of gruesome detail, but gangrene and a lot of other terrible things with a lack of water, no electricity. What a terrible situation for our government to participate in, let alone be part of.
Well, this is certainly not my government, I guarantee you. I am a citizen of my state, and I have nothing to do and will not accept these creeps as my government ever. My government doesn't act that way. Nancy, what do you think is the ultimate aim? We know that they've sealed the warrants. It's impossible to get any information from the government. When we call the BATF in Washington, D.C., they hang up on us. When we call the FBI, they will not give us any information. What do you think the goal is? Why did they do this?
I think that the connection has been made by Eric Leiter and myself doing an investigation. We've conferenced quite a bit in why is all of this being done. And as we take a look and probe into the Ruby Creek in Idaho, the Randy Weaver thing, now the Waco thing, and been setting up on the Danny Casolero situation, the Inslaw octopus situation, the John F. Kennedy murder. I have found a thread of names, dates, places, documentation with that would connect the New World Order is behind this. Their way of getting the middle class person and the group of people, whether they're not just patriots but Christians, the middle class people have to be kept more under control, and this is definitely the end times that we've all been concerned about, but we are in it. It is the New World Order.
Well, that certainly confirms everything that we've heard and know. We know, for instance, that the Randy Weaver case was a shock test to see if patriots would stand by and allow it to happen, and of course they did, much to their shame, deep shame. And that gave them the go-ahead, and now they're persecuting a much larger group. And we know that this is tied directly to Christianity and to the right to keep and bear arms. What this is coming out as to the sheeple of the world who don't have the brains or the common sense to understand that something is wrong, they're getting the impression that Christians are wild, crazy fanatics, and that they're stockpiling weapons and are going to be a threat to peaceful, law-abiding citizens. And that's not the case at all, is it?
No, it is not the case. I have to say, actually, if we take a look at this, that the siege situation where people are raids, whether it be the IRS or the ATF, or groups of the government within the government, whoever is actually instigating this, whether it's Sessions or Higgins or any of these other fellows that are supposed to be in control and authorize this stuff, or if they sit back and watch somebody else pulling the strings and allowing premeditated murder on Americans, the American people can and do have an obligation as witnessing this. They can partake and back up what is being done. We've got the case now before the grand jury of Texas, okay? America needs to know this. We do plan on taking the BATF and the prosecution of this New World Order and